You're listening to the Happiest Girl in the Room podcast. Hey, welcome back to the Happiest Girl in the Room podcast, also known as the Happiest Diaries. And today I'll be diving into the complexities of human behavior and how we can explore ways to live more intentionally. It's still me, your host, Ayadele Alabi, and today we're talking about this topic because it's a really important one for our personal growth and our relationships. Blaming others versus looking inward. Let me tell you what inspired this topic. I had written and shared an article on LinkedIn just a few days ago about how people tend to say they have bad bosses, or rather, I've seen so many articles and seen so many resources and content on bad bosses. But the truth is, I don't ever recall, or I can't recall ever randomly coming across an article that was speaking to bad subordinates, and they do exist. And so I was literally asking us to try and do some introspection to determine if we have some blame in whatever office dynamics that makes us hate our bosses so much. And so if you want to read that article, you can just search my name on LinkedIn, Ayadele Aburo on LinkedIn. I'd really appreciate your thoughts and feedback on that. So that was what literally influenced or inspired this podcast episode. Because after posting that article, most of the feedback I got from readers were a lot about how difficult introspection can be. And so I thought about it and said, okay, I thought to give it some thought as well. Like, why do we easily blame people rather than look inwards? And I don't know, honestly, because have you ever noticed how easy, it's just easy. It's easy to point fingers at someone else when things go wrong. It may be your colleague who didn't meet a deadline. It's a partner who forgot an important date. It may be your friend who canceled plans at the last minute. It may be a project that went south and you think, oh, your boss could have approved sooner. Then maybe you could have moved faster. We never think of, oh, what could I have done in that situation to make it work? And so whatever the situation, it's just always tempting to shift the blame onto someone else. But the thing is, blaming others is often it's often a cop out for me because it's just a way of avoiding taking responsibility for our own actions. And the truth is that can prevent us from learning and growing from our mistakes. So really, why do we do it? Why do we find it so hard to look inwards and acknowledge our own role in a problem? I started to research about it, and so many reasons really. And I think my first and favorite will be self-preservation. Like, no, how can it be me? Me. Me, the smartest in the room. Me, the smartest in the function or in the department. Me, make a mistake? Never, right? Well, wrong. Newsflash. No one is above mistakes. So blaming others as a defense mechanism to protect your self-image or your ego is actually self-sabotage. Another reason that we do it is also to avoid the feelings of guilt, of shame, or inadequacy. Nobody must know that I'm inadequate, so let me just blame it on someone else. But this stems from an absence of vulnerability because people don't want to show weakness. They don't want to show their weaknesses, so they don't want to be vulnerable. So it's easy to shift the blame than to take your own part in whatever the issue is. Another reason we blame others is also our cognitive biases. Our brains are wired to seek out patterns and explanations, and sometimes that means attributing blame to someone else. I think a couple of episodes ago, I spoke about how my own brain is wired to see the positive or to see the good in everything. So sometimes maybe our brain is also wired to protect us and always find someone else wrong for doing something and not ourselves. So it's one of the way. It's a mental shortcut that can be misleading, and it's also common for our brains to process information in that way. A very bad one, a very bad reason why we would rather blame others than look inward is lack of self-awareness. Some people don't even know. They don't have the emotional intelligence or the self-awareness to recognize their own flaws, their own weaknesses, or their own contributions to a problem. So yeah. For some, it's a problem of accountability. They'll just rather blame someone else rather than taking responsibility for their own actions, especially when the situation is uncomfortable, it's painful. So, it's not me. Oh, it's not me. It's not me. In fact, I think I would also call out emotional reactivity. In the heat of the moment, we just react like reflex. It's just impulsive and we just blame others without fully considering the situation or our own role in it. It happens all the time. Finally, blaming can be a learned behavior. Maybe you grew up in an environment where blame shifting was common, or maybe we've just gotten into the habit of pointing fingers over time. So it's just a normal thing for you. Uh, in your house, they're always saying, that's why as parents, it's also important to train our children in a way that they own up to their mistakes rather than blame it on someone else. Yeah. So how can we break this habit and start looking inward instead? There are a few strategies I think will help. First, we need to practice self-awareness. We need to take some time to reflect on our thoughts, on our feelings, our actions, and always ask ourselves the question, what could I have done differently? How did my actions contribute to this problem? I do that a lot. Like when I do my reflections every day at bedtime, I look at my entire day. There was something that went wrong in the day. I always think, okay, how could I have handled that differently? What could I have said? Should I have said what I said? Should I have done this? Should I have done that? I do a lot of self reflection. That one, I I do a lot of self reflection really, because I always try to self improve, be better. So if anything happens, really, I will think about it and I'll process it and be like, okay, should I have done that? Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have done that. And what I then do is you'd also ask people that I trust. I can, narrate the scenario to them and say, oh, this is what happened. This is what happened. This is what I did. Do you think that should have been it's something that I should have done, or do you think that was right or wrong? So it's also important to surround yourself with people who can help you reflect, point out your errors, and without judging you, no judgment, just also in a bit to help you grow. So those people are there, and you take advantage of them, your network, your support system. Yeah. Secondly, then you need to take ownership of your mistakes. Vulnerability. Because when you mess up, you need to own up to it. You need to own up to it. You need to apologize if you need to apologize. You need to try and make amends. And you need to learn from the experience so that it doesn't repeat itself again. I don't know what the problem is. Like, people find it so difficult to apologize. Ugh, come on, it's not that hard. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, it's not that hard. So, really, we need to own up to, oh, I messed up. I'm sorry, I messed up. There's this friendship that I had, we're very close, and I think, and it just, I'm sorry I messed up, would have solved the matter, if I'm being honest. A simple I'm sorry, I messed up would have just solved that problem. But it became a trying to explain why you did what you did. Sometimes you don't need to give an explanation, because no explanations will be enough for your betrayal or for the hurt or for the pain. It's just, okay, babe, I'm sorry. You know what? I messed up. Forgive me. It's that simple. So we need to also get out of our heads and put our ego aside and be able to own up to our messes and be able to say, I'm sorry, I did that. Okay, I didn't know it would affect you that way, but it did, and I'm sorry. Ugh, it's not that hard, is it? It seems like it's hard though, because now that I just remember this friendship, it just really seems like it's hard. Because eventually we got to speak, and this person just wasn't seeing my own perspective and was trying to make, you know what, whatever you think you did is valid, but the person you hurt is more valider, if there's a word like that. So, okay, you did what you did, thinking what, in this situation, I just don't want to even share the story because there's no going around it. You did what you did and it was wrong. It's plain and simple. You now trying to excuse and explain what you did, it just didn't make any sense to anyone. Because as I said, I have my support system that I would always run things by, because I'm not one perfect being. I'm always working towards self-improvement. So I run things by people just to also check, okay, am I overreacting? Okay. Sometimes people will say, ah, you're even underreacting. Are you joking? So you get, so I've also checked in with the people that are closest to me to say, oh, this is the situation. What? And they're like, ah, whoa. Just, oh, babe, I'm sorry I did that. It won't happen again. Ended the matter. But no, it didn't. And now I lost one of my best friends because of that. Okay, moving on. Moving on. I think it's also important that we focus on solutions rather than blame, instead of getting stuck on who's at fault. Who's at fault? Who did that? Who did that? Sometimes you need to find out who's at fault. Definitely. I'm not saying that we should never try to find out who's at fault. Sometimes it's necessary, or because sometimes you need to hold people accountable. Not sometimes, all the time you need to hold people accountable. So it's good to find out, oh, okay, it was this particular action that derailed the project, and so that the person can also learn from that mistake. But it's not now to get hung up on that, hung up on the personal faults. Let's be solution minded. Okay, we've hit a roadblock. Let's find the next freeway, really. So we need to focus on finding solution to the problem, so that we shift our brain from blaming to towards collaboration and problem solving. Yeah. Finally, we need to practice empathy and understanding. We need to learn how to put ourselves in other people's shoes and try to see things from their perspective, because this would always help us to respond more thoughtfully and avoid blaming others unfairly. So, empathy, I can't overstress that. In my journey through grief, I think I spoke about how I was treated by my in-laws then. It was painful to be accused of what I didn't do, but empathy helps me put myself in their shoes. It's okay, yeah, I get it. It's so tough. It's crazy. It's unimaginable. Losing a son. I don't even know what words to use to describe it. So that's what I told myself. So I had to practice empathy, put myself in their shoes, and try to understand why they did what they did. It was tough. I won't lie, because truly, you being in pain is not enough reason to put someone else in pain. Yeah, but I just try to get it, because that's what empathy does. So that also is empathy that helps me get through, forgive, and just get through that. So that's why it's a very important part of breaking the habit of blame and looking inwards. So you tell me, which of these reasons resonates with you? How have you been able to deal with that blame culture? Can you share? I would really love to learn from your experiences and your thoughts on blaming others versus looking inwards. Yeah, so I'll be so excited to read from you. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Happiest Girl in the Room podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to the show for more episodes on personal growth, self development, and intentional living. Thank you. Take care of yourself. Bye bye. You're listening to the Happiest Girl in the Room podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Happiest Girl in the Room podcast. See you next time. Bye-bye.